Hey world, how are you? I'm Nathan. This is the art show. It's Nathan's art show. And I'm here with my special guest.
Hi, it's Robbie Mattson. Most of my friends call me Gramps. Welcome.
Yes. And why do they call you Gramps?
In August, I'm going to welcome my 11th grandchild into the world. So, my bride and I have 7 kids in our blended relationship, and 6 of them have produced humans, and we just keep growing.
Oh my God. I had no idea that you had so many people in your family. That's so crazy.
I'm blessed. It's been a good run. Where our oldest 2 grandsons were born in 2016, so they're both going to be 10 this year, and then the youngest is a year, and then we've got one in 5 months from now. So big spread.
That's insane.
It's busy Christmas, it's busy birthdays, it's busy just all the time.
Is that expensive? You had to buy everybody a gift?
It everything's expensive. My bride is the artist in the group. I take pictures and I do love art and collect and participate and try to be uh, a human that's really involved. But I married an artist, and I have a tagline: "Married to an artist." Uh, she's really good at counterfeit. Is the way I would describe it. Like she can copy anything.
Yeah.
Her mother's in the antique business, and so whenever she's got some sort of an antique that needs something touched up or fixed or adjusted, my wife is the one that fixes it for her.
That's cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool. I think so first of all, I think having that many people around me all the time at all would freak me out and stress me out. But it sounds like you love it.
I
That's
love it,
good.
and they're all spread out. We've got 2 here in North Carolina. You and I were talking earlier. I'm here in North Carolina now visiting. We've got a few in Texas, one in Arkansas. Um, Trying to think, there's one other. Yeah, we're all over. So it's not like we're getting to travel around and see them and spend time. There's not been a time in the last couple of years where all of us have been concentrated in one area, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that would be just absolute chaos.
That's yeah, it sounds crazy. Do you work? Are you like a man of leisure? Are you like retired?
I have a job. My wife is retired. I am a currently a software salesman. So
Oh,
I
that's
help.
cool.
Yeah, so I help provide cybersecurity software to organizations.
That's cool. I hate working a real job.
Me too.
I work for an AI music company, so I it's kind of cutting edge and it's kind of interesting. But I'm also like a musician, like an analog musician as they call it. Like I sing,
Yeah.
play guitar, and I rap and I make beats and stuff. So I feel like I'm like the enemy of myself in a weird way.
Well, I was going to ask you that. So I've heard Joe Rogan play some AI music, and he's like, this guy would just be ripping it if he was, a real human. But is that what your business does? Is it just makes up music, or?
Yeah, so we have we're mainly in the cheer and dance world right now, which is kind of like a very
Okay.
specific niche
Yeah.
market. But we're essentially, I don't like to say competing because I think that we actually have like a really interesting product, but we're comparable to like Suno and UDO and those kind of companies.
Deals. Okay.
We're called Hit Zero. I'll share it with you offline, but
Sure.
yeah, it's the same thing. Like you type in like what you want to hear, like what you want to say, and it just spins up songs for you.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like AI art, but just for music. And they've both been interesting as an artist and musician, like because a lot of people think that it's going to take their livelihood,
Right.
and for me personally, it gave me a career. So I can't say like, oh, it's taking my job, but there's a lot of people where it is. So I mean, I could have a debate all day, I guess, with people.
Me personally, I did another podcast, Born to Tint, and we were talking about this, and they, as a company, had invested heavily in AI and were doing lots in AI, and they were growing like 3 or 4 new employees. And I was like, well, what's going on? Like everybody's talking about AI is going to take your jobs, and you're actually using it to grow and expand and whatever. So I
Yeah.
think some of it's about just your general perspective. Like, are you here and it's a doom and gloom, or are you grateful and just excited and want to go, build something. So I think it's a lot has to do with your mindset.
It does. It does. I think a lot of it's about gratitude. You're big on gratitude. I see you preaching gratitude to
Huge.
people. Is that been your strength in life, you think? Just being grateful?
I think I've always been happy and grateful for what I have. I don't think I've been as um, vocal of it. We've been through, everybody goes through times. We've had ups and downs, and through all that, I've just really just found that when I'm focused on something negative, or I'm focused on, you see what you seek is another term I've used before. Where you put your attention, all that stuff, it all matters. And so I would say the original answer to your question is I've always sort of been more of a positive, upbeat guy. I've learned to drill in and focus on being grateful and, full of gratitude and understanding that, and then the mindset behind it. So I've gotten a lot better at it in the last, call it, 10 years.
Okay. So I find like a lot of people with that same vibe have had like some kind of experience that leads them into that. Is there something that you say has like happened in your life that made you go like, all right, I need to be more grateful from now on, or have you always just been naturally that way?
Um, was divorced and before I got remarried. That's one of those, as a sales guy or somebody that's, used to, I always tell people I don't fear losing. I'm used to, I'm a winner. And
Yeah.
um, when, all right, so we lost one of our grandchildren in
Oh, sorry.
2019. And when that happened, as well as some things that sort of led up to it, it was like, all this other shit that's going on just is really not that important. I mean, it just sort of aligned priorities. And then, as I said, just really focus on the positives and what we're grateful for. And, our greatest asset or our greatest piece is our time. So being, able to focus on doing things that are important during your time or with your time. And so, yeah, I would say there's been a couple of those big moments that have sort of refocused me in.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that by the way. I feel like death and breakups, especially as men, are like thing, and I'm sure it happens for women too. But I think as men, it kind of like we redefine ourselves through those experiences. It seems to like really be these things where we're forced to reshape and rebuild our lives.
I would 100% agree with you on that. I put this Fitbit on, not this specific one. This is like my 10th one, but I put a Fitbit on in 2015, right after I got divorced in 2014, as a, hey, this is going to help me focus on my health. I was a walker before. This
Hmm.
just happened to track it. And then I listened to David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me.
I love that
Great
dude.
book. Great book. And a great
Yeah.
human. He comes across harsh and he uses the F word enough that my dad won't listen to him. But he sort of tuned me in. Hey, when we as humans believe we have given everything we've given and all we have to give, we've really just used about 40% of our capacity. And so in listening to him, started to increase my walking, put a goal out there to say, hey, before I turn 50, I'm going to walk the circumference of the earth, which required me to walk 12 miles a day for 3.5 years straight. I finished 2 weeks early. I'm sorry, I finished 4 weeks early, 28 days early, and March 14th of 2022. And today I'm at like 37,400 miles on my feet. And back to what you originally said, the breakup, the change, the things, death, as you said, those things just sort of redefined perspective and goals and what is important.
Mm, that's an amazing amount of steps. I
It's a lot
love
of
David
walking.
Goggins. Like he talks like this. You got to get out there. Blah blah blah. He's always like intense and yelling. I've got like a bad knee, and I know he's got like I had a injury wrestling in high school and stuff. So it's always like impacted me, and I did like jujitsu and kickboxing
Okay.
and stuff. But like the knee kept getting worse as time went on, and then eventually it was done. But he's one that I've always been able to use to motivate me to push through that pain and just keep
Right.
going because he's like gone through crazy amount of injuries and then just he just keeps going.
He's had his heart worked on. Like he's all sorts of stuff. They show his feet after a 200-mile race, and the guy just
It's like skin
abuses.
coming off.
Yeah, he just abuses his body. But he's shown millions of humans, that they're much more capable than they believe.
Yeah, I love how like he's willing to sacrifice his body to show how powerful the mind is. I think it's an
Agreed.
incredible trait. Um, Sales. I want to get into sales. So I'm like super
Yeah.
interested in sales recently. I think salespeople are. I mean, it kind of is like the highest paid profession in the world. I feel like in some weird ways, it has the capability of being. What is it that you like about that world? Is it part of your identity, and is it something you enjoy?
I am the oldest of four. My father is a salesman. All four of his children became salespeople, one
Wow.
in retail, three in high tech sales, like I'm in, software sales. I believe it is a character trait that you're sort of born with, the ability to empathize, the ability to, we have two ears and one mouth, so listen as opposed to speak, understand what people are looking for. Um, and I joined the Navy right out of high school. Part of right as I was going to college, I got spiral meningitis, forced me to miss a bunch of midterms. I wasn't going to do well, so I joined the Navy and went off and did that. Got out of the Navy after working on F-18s, thinking I'm going to go to work for Boeing. I'm going to be an airplane guy. I'm going to do all this stuff. Within 6 months, I was selling cars. 6 months later, after that, I was selling industrial products. 12 months after that, I was into software. And as you said, it's the part of the business that if you don't sell, there's no reason to have any other support, pieces. So yes, it's usually the highest rewarded because it's the piece that without it, the rest of the organization doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, is it genuinely interesting to you? To me, it's like the part that, like, I want to get further into that in my career because it seems to be the part that's also fun. Like, you're literally talking to people all day. Like, this is your job is to relate to human beings, and you're having like
Yep.
true human experiences all day.
Yeah.
Like, do you genuinely enjoy it?
I think that I really do enjoy the art that it is and the process that I go through and the as you said the way that I'm allowed to spend the most majority of my day talking to other humans and interacting. I think that as with any business, when you get into a certain level or a certain set of automation and things that it becomes, I mean, it's still an art, but it becomes like, hey, I'm doing all this other stuff over here in order to satisfy all the other people within the organization, and I'm doing less of this thing that actually makes me money and is what I'm here for. So I don't know if I'm answering the question right. Doing just this normal being in front of people, presentations, whiteboarding things out, helping folks come up with an answer to a problem sometimes they didn't even know they had.
Mm.
That's all just really rewarding.
Yeah.
Back to the whole being grateful thing. It's very, very rewarding. It's the other, and with any job, there's pieces to any job that are just, man, I could do without this. So, but the rest of it, it is my identity. I do identify as, I'm a walker first. I'm a, dad, husband, all that. And I'm a salesman. And I have one. So two of my three biological children are in sales as well. So I'm one of four that all became sales. And then three of my original four children all became sales. So it's rewarding and exciting to see them, enjoying it. And it's also fun to sort of, be able to talk shop, if you will, with your own kids.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a genetic trait almost, like the ability to sell or relate to people.
I think you have to have ADD. I think you have to have the
And I
ability
hope
to say,
not.
yeah, yeah, me too. Because you got to be able to, we are single threaded. There's
Hmm.
no such thing as somebody that can multitask. You're doing two tasks at half-ass, pace or
Yeah.
half-ass sort of mentality there, as opposed to two good jobs. But just being able to understand that. Um, so ADD, sense of humor. Um, I'm pretty good looking. I'm just kidding, but those kind of things are always all important, right?
Yeah. Well, what advice would you have for somebody that's trying to get into that further?
I think that I would go do something with either. Well, I bought my first house on a straight commission job selling cars. Like, so go find something that um you have a passion for. I loved cars. I started driving at 12 and did the Bob Bondurant School for Race Driving at
Okay.
Malibu Grand Prix when I was 13, and I'm just always been in cars. So when I got into car sales, it was like, hey, like I get to drive a different car home every day, and I could show people things, and um really was enthusiastic, and you could feel that, so you have a passion for something. So my advice would be, find something you have a passion for, and just go do it.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes me want to really kind of do some soul searching and figure out if I'm trying to sell the right stuff or if I'm, yeah, yeah, because I think I love art, but something about selling yourself and your own stuff all the time, it's like it's not cutting it for me for whatever reason, and maybe it's just I'm not connecting with it enough. But um, there's something that I think I could sell other people's art. Um, and
So
that's
is that something internal to you, like I don't know if you spend enough time looking at it, where you're just maybe, hey, I don't want to feel like I'm pushing my stuff onto other people, or I'm just over stimulating people with I'm trying to think of why it would be easier for you to sell other people's stuff as opposed to your own.
yeah, I think I'm afraid to sound like full of shit for back of a
Okay.
lack of a better word. Like I don't want to sound like I'm so impressed with what I do that I'm willing to talk about it constantly. It feels like something like it's like too self-consumed. I don't want
Okay.
to like too obsessed with what I do or myself, but I love what other people do. So I enjoy talking about like other people's stuff. Like I love talking about other musicians, other artists, and all that stuff,
Right.
and like almost like coming up with my own meanings for like what they're doing,
Right.
even if I don't know what they're up to personally on it. But yeah, I enjoy digging into that sort of stuff. I think with my own thing, um, I know what I'm doing and I like what I'm doing, but
Right.
maybe I'm not as passionate about it as I think I am. I'm not sure. Um, I've got to do some
There,
soul searching there.
I was gonna say, there's a just a like a 1 degree separation from being confident or sounding like arrogant. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so you could just maybe, this is the loudest voice, or you're the loudest voice in your own head, right? So maybe just talk to yourself, be a little bit more compassionate with yourself, and realize, hey, I'm not doing this out of arrogance. I'm really doing this because I am passionate about this. I am confident in my work. I'm confident in what I'm putting together or putting on paper, or however your art comes out, and start being, maybe a little nicer to yourself.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah. That's probably a good point. I'll try that. Why not?
Why not?
Maybe I'll sit in the mirror like they suggest sometimes and just talk about
Yeah.
I am good enough and I am awesome.
Stuart Smiley.
Yeah, Stuart Smiley. Speaking of like motivation, have you ever been into like Jim Rohn or Napoleon Hill or like any of these like famous like motivational gurus at all or no?
I have, as you can imagine, well, I don't know if you can imagine, to walk 37,000 miles, there's a lot of time where I'm
Hmm.
listening to these things. So I think to date, I'm at 258 books on Audible I've listened to. I would say 240 of them are what we classified as self-help, Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
um, autobiographies by, the Shoe Dog, Phil Knight, creator of Nike. So a lot of what I would say is a lot of books on perspective, like
Okay.
listening to people and their opinions, their perspective, their view of the world. Knowing that you can have five people look at something and see that you're going to get five different opinions on what you have, and that's where the growth comes. Is that back to when you asked about sales, it's knowing when I'm talking to somebody that the person I'm talking to isn't thinking the way I'm thinking. Their perspective is something different. And so I have to ask questions and ferret out what it is that performance means to them as opposed to performance means to me, as an example. And in the car business, most people think, oh, that's just a fast engine. Well, some people performance is big disc brakes and being able to stop really quick or being able
Right.
to corner and things like that. So asking lots of questions so that as you're selling and producing or as you're having that dialogue, that you're focused in on the areas that the person on the other side is actually interested in and concerned with, as opposed to what you're interested in and concerned with. So perspective is really the largest thing I've gotten out of all the books I've read.
That's that's interesting too. I think that like a lot of people assume that like sales has to do with being able to talk really good. And it sounds like it's equally about listening really good,
If not more.
if not more. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that they're interested in something until they talk to you enough for you to key in on that thing. And then you go, hey, I think what you really are asking for is
Right.
this right here. Listening to for the second time. It's called Delivering Happiness. It's the story of
Okay.
Zappos. Um,
I've listened. Is it Tony Shu?
yeah, I forget how to say his name. It's a very interesting book. I thought it was cool how he saw this like, he's this like business guy. He's always building companies, and all of a sudden somebody approaches him with this idea, and he invests in the idea, and it grows into this like crazy thing. I like those kind of stories for some reason. Um,
Me too.
yeah,
I
it's
enjoyed that book a lot. I was really sad to see him pass away at a younger age
a
through something
crazy
stupid.
story too. Like
Yeah.
I when I learned about it, I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
He
I'm
was a
not laughing at him.
billionaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane. Like, um, it shows how like a lot of people get rich, but they're not actually happy. Um,
Money does not buy happiness. That is 100% what I got out of that.
yeah, me too. That's actually like a huge thing. I enjoyed learning about his life growing up. Though. I thought it was like really cool. He was like into computer programming at a young age
Yep.
and all this stuff. It's just a very cool story.
Yep.
Like you said, a horrible ending, and I mean, at least the world saw somebody like him and got to enjoy him while he was
Yep.
here. Um, on a different note, I wanted to touch on this before we're done. Like, as a collector in the NFT space, how did you get into NFTs, and like, what is your mindset as a collector? I'm always fascinated, like, because I collect a little bit too, but not like a lot. I'm always like creating stuff and trying to sell stuff more.
Right. I My origin story into Web3 and NFTs would be that in 2021, Gary V released V Friends.
Yeah,
I happened to be in the high tech business at the time and was not actually employed, and to go spend thousands of dollars on a JPEG was not an option. So I skipped out on that. But then early in, I want to say February, March of 2022, I was offered a ticket to go to VCon in May of 2022, and I took the person that had the ticket hurt their Achilles and couldn't go, and so I ended up going. Shout out Eric, thank you. You're responsible for a large wallet. Um, so I went to VCon, and I'm sitting on the floor of a little space, and Andy K, I don't want to mutilate his last name, the president of V Friends, was up giving
yeah,
a speech, and Craniac, I think is how you say it. And I'm sitting there literally downloading a wallet. I'm authorizing Coinbase so I can get fiat currency into ETH so I
yeah,
can get I was introduced to V Friends, Brain Vomit, who is Stephen Ray. I'm sure you're familiar.
yeah.
And a few others. And so I massively shifted my life. I believed and enjoyed the thesis and where things were going and sort of the idea behind it, and sort of went all in. Um, I'm trying to think what your second part of the question was. There's where the ADD's kicking in.
Yeah, as far as like a collector mindset, like after you got into like V Friends and you saw how powerful this was as a community builder, and just kind of like you saw what that world had to offer, like what is it that made you passionate about like collecting stuff? And then what do you look for? Like what's your mindset as a collector?
Oh, so I collect. different things. I'm a big in Tweak Labs from wearing my shirt.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that next. I love tweaks. I've got four now.
I've got 758, but don't tell anybody. Yeah. There's three wallets required. So I would say that so Tweak
Oh
specifically,
man, that's cool
I
having
went all
four.
in. Yeah, I went all in. It's been to your point. It's been about community building, community participation over the 3.5, 4 years now that I've been a part of Tweak Labs, because that was the third or fourth community I joined. There's been ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and a large collector, hey, I've lost faith and I'm leaving the deal. And instead of, just dumping on the floor, I would go over and say, okay, I'll pay you X for the 50 you have. And I got a couple groups of 50 that way. And I've I've used my ability to collect as a way to be stable for the community and to keep a 53-plus-year-old human as sort of a, hey, I'm here, I'm willing to do it. I've came into the space docs. I have all, RH Mattson is my uh, tag on LinkedIn and Instagram and all of the different socials, and I'm verified on all of them because I wanted to be in a world of crypto where 78% want, uh, the ability to be whoever they want or not to be known when they're doing their collecting. I
Yeah.
wanted to be that light that just said, hey, I'm here, I'm real, and I wanted to bring that perspective. And so I did kind of over probably buy tweaks, but
It's
um
important though, man. Like that's super important to be a figurehead out there and say like, "Hey, I'm willing to openly, shout this thing from the mountaintop, and this is who I am. This is what I like, and hit me up if you need to get rid of something or if you want to be a part of the community. This is a community. It's a real thing. There's real people involved,
right,
or else you're gonna think it's like some kind of like backdoor dealing where like there's a bunch of stuff going to like
right.
like these different wallets and bots and stuff. Like, I don't like those kind of communities. I mean, that is one thing about VFriends that I thought was really cool is it's like real people behind it. You see people in the community. You go to these events. They actually understand like how to use NFTs, like to build like literal experiences that you go to
I agreed.
repetitively year in, year out. You see the same people, meet new people. Like he did it right. He's like one of the few people that came into the space during that like NFT craze and actually like stuck around and did it correctly from the start. I've always been impressed with him.
I agree in all of that sentiment. I think he gets a little bit of I was in the Navy, so I swear too much, but I think he gets a little bit of shit for, you know, there's collector cards and there's or trading cards and there's comic books now and there's, Uno deck back in the day. But you go through, and so people, had given him a hard time about, hey, it's about these other pieces, and it's like, well, he's building a story and he's
Yeah.
building a foundation and he's giving you, characters that he's expanding on, and he's showing why it's important. And not all characters are good. So he's talking about, both the good traits and bad traits. And he's a good guy. And I think
Yeah.
his heart's in the right place. And I think he is going to be one of the 1% that's, still here in 10 years for sure.
Yeah, I've always been impressed. I also thought that he understood social media. I mean, it's kind of unrelated, but his book, The Attention Economy, I think that's what it's
Mhm.
called. I always thought his perspective on social media and how the world is changing and the business world is changing. I always thought that was interesting because he was like pretty far ahead of everybody. I used to listen to his podcast like years and years ago. I still do
Me too.
occasionally, but yeah, he's always had sort of like a futurist mindset while still seeming sort of like vintage. Like he grew up in the wine business and he was doing trading cards and all that stuff. I always thought that he was just a really cool guy. So I'm happy he's still around. And there are some Gary V haters, but I don't know what they're talking about, honestly.
I think anybody that's successful kind of a sign of being successful is they have haters, right?
Yeah.
There's people that are either jealous for some reason or some other driver that makes them haters. He's done well. He does swear as much as I do.
Kind
So
of
my
cool.
dad doesn't listen. My dad doesn't listen to him. And that's what it's funny. Whenever I go through the filter is the third F bomb comes out. It's like, okay, can't share this with my dad.
Yeah.
But
My dad
um,
does that too, even though he also swears a decent, not a lot. But like he'll be like, I don't like him. He cusses too much. I'm like, you cuss? Like, what are you talking about?
yeah. I I see both sides of it. I try, like I will get passionate myself and I'll let one slip on the phone and then you can just literally hear it's like and I'm like instantly 8 years old again and I'm like,
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't I didn't mean it.
I do
Um
it too a lot.
yeah.
I'm always getting looks around my house. My lady will be like, "Nice. What was that all about?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
They say the smart people are the ones that cuss. So, I just believe that.
I I think there's something to. I think we just get passionate and we just like
Yeah.
we're more worried about the substance that we're trying to.
Getting our message across than it is the word.
Yeah, it's about the message. It's
Yeah.
it's not about like yeah, because I drop way too many F bombs. I'll do it in public in nice restaurants. Sometimes I can see people looking over. Like, my bad.
Sorry.
All right. Well, it's 3:33, so we've hit our timeline. I always try to keep it around 30 minutes. Um, is there any final? I feel like the old school Daily Show or like whatever. Like, is there any like words of wisdom you want to leave people with?
I my ETH address is leadwithlove.eth.
Yeah.
I believe as humans we have two choices in the world. We can lead with fear or we can lead with love. Most news organizations or people that we are being driven by are being led by fear. So try to choose love. And as I said earlier, the perspective is everything. So be grateful for what you have as opposed to unhappy with what you're missing or what other people have that you don't have. I try to focus in on this on my podcast. So shout out Second Lap Podcast. We talk weekly. I walk and talk, and I have a producer guy in the background that helps me to keep it sane. And we try to learn and distill lessons from the 37,000 miles on my feet that people get exercise, move your muscles. It's the best antidepressant that you can have. Walk, it's fun. They say go touch grass, put your shoes on, go walk a couple miles a day if you can. And stay active. It's good for you.
Yeah. I totally agree with all that actually. And I do think I used to say it all the time, but love is the answer. Um, a lot of the smartest people that I've ever heard have preached that. There's a guy named Lex Friedman who swears that love is the answer to
He's
everything.
beautiful
And
human.
great human, one of the smartest people I've ever heard speak on all kind of subjects. And he swears it's the answer, so I think it's probably true. But all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off because I will. I'll keep rambling, and maybe we'll have you on again at some point because this was actually really fun. I
Thank
feel
you.
good talking to you. All right,
For sure.
bye everybody. This has been the Art Show. I don't know why I did that. All right, peace.